Hey there, welcome to the Uplift. We've got a great show for you, great cast of characters as well. Among them, these two friends in their 80s took an epic journey around the world. We catch up with them now that they have completed their trek. Also, an 11-year-old who wanted to help people fleeing Ukraine ended up making a huge impact on one person's life in particular. What'd she do? We will get into that. Plus, another woman who felt compelled to help Ukrainian refugees. Her dedication inspired others to get involved as well. And finally, meet the history-making NASA crew that is flying beyond the moon. Really? And meet a girl who had a heart condition and also a bucket list. What big goal did she get to cross off? More than one, in fact. We will tell you all of that and more heartwarming stories, the one you just need to see. You're watching The Uplift. Hey there, welcome to The Uplift. I'm your host, Tony DeCopel. This is the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes. You, and I always like to add me as well. We're in it together, folks. We got a follow-up story to kick you off. Here on The Uplift, we recently introduced you to two best friends in their 80s who took an epic journey together. Well, they are back home, and Ramy Inocencio has more on their recently completed trip.
And today is number 80.
They're the grandmas who just kept going. From huskies above the Arctic Circle to hot air balloons along the River Nile. Besties Ellie Hamby and Sandy Hazlip adventured around the world in 80 days at the inspirational age of 81 to the Northern Lights, the South Pacific, and the South Pole.
We made it to the Antarctic.
Their goal, all 7 continents, 18 countries, 8 world wonders.
Hi, Ramy.
They found inspiration themselves in the people they met.
It's the goodness of humanity. People are kind. Yes. People are loving. People just want to help and be a friend.
We met in London halfway through their trip.
I think one of the things is realizing our lives are all the same. We all have the same emotions. We just live in a little different environment.
They've both had double knee replacement surgeries.
We're great.
No issues whatsoever.
No! Do you think we got any issues?
Should we all do it together?
Yeah.
They don't travel first class or with anyone who does.
But if you have to have manicures, we don't have time for you.
Let me see your
Oh, look at them. They're just...
They're fine. What are you talking about?
And they go with the flow, even sleeping in airports. Their trip had been postponed twice because of COVID. Since London, they've swung through Bali, Indonesia, sailed past the Sydney Opera House in Australia, climbed above Kathmandu, Nepal,
Namaste.
and even flew over Mount Everest. Just days after getting home, the two are already getting bored.
81 and still on the run.
A new trip planned for next year, a new slogan revealed now.
82 and traveling we can do.
Ageless adventurers, inspiration for us all to live a kinder, more connected life, no matter how young we are.
We're going to introduce you now to a historic and historically diverse NASA crew heading beyond the moon. Here's Mark Strassman.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Artemis II crew.
NASA's deep space hopes will rocket with this crew.
To the moon, to Mars, and beyond.
Moonbound astronauts, the first in more than a half century.
We know how big this moment is, and I personally feel it's so much bigger than me and my name being attached to it.
On this diverse Artemis II crew, 3 Americans, all space veterans, and a Canadian. Reed Weissman, a U.S. Navy captain and the mission commander. Victor Glover, the first black astronaut to make a long-duration spaceflight. Christina Cook, a member of the first 3 all-female spacewalks, and Canadian Jeremy Hansen, the only space rookie aboard.
Our focus is 100% on being successful in this vehicle.
After launch, the Orion capsule will reach the moon in 4 days for a lunar flyby. This crew could push deeper into space than any humans ever before finishing their 10-day mission. What's critical? This flight will be the first test of Orion's complete life support systems. NASA envisions the moon as a proving ground for eventual missions to Mars.
Do you now look at the moon a little differently?
Oh, yeah. 100%. We've spent our entire lives looking up at the moon. And now we're going to go out there and look back at Earth from that same distance. That is crazy.
Coming up, from one violin aficionado to another, you're going to meet the 11-year-old girl who was inspired to help people fleeing Ukraine and connected with a stranger who shared that passion.
I want people to see how unfair it is, and I want people to actually try and help.
Plus, we're going to introduce you to a woman who was compelled to help Ukrainian refugees herself and inspired others to do so in the process. When an 11-year-old violin player in New York heard about the war in Ukraine, she was inspired to help in one way or another. And what she did is she found a way to make an impact on at least one person in particular, happened to be a violin maker. Here's CBS New York's John Diaz with more.
We all know it's impossible for the tranquilizing sounds of this violin to make its way from Long Island to Ukraine without technology. But luckily for this young violinist playing and those feeling her impact, it's 2023. So not only are her talents being felt, but her generosity as well.
I want people to see how unfair it is, and I want people to actually try and help.
Nadia Saeed is only 11 years old. However, this old soul is helping someone older than her, a man who was once a stranger to her family.
Ukrainian luthier. His name is Alexander Smkovsky. He fled with just a backpack and the clothes he was wearing.
The violin maker lost almost everything in an instant when Russians bombed his town, destroying his violin shop. Nadia and her mother read about it in an online music magazine.
I just saw it in her that, oh my God, goodness, what do you mean? What is he going to do? What can we do? Can we help him?
So the two connected with Alexander and started up a GoFundMe page for him. In almost a year, they have raised close to $20,000.
Making a violin is not easy, so we understand how much goes into it. And there's this person who spent his whole life perfecting something, and then it's all destroyed. It's all taken away.
Alexander says he's forever grateful, and Nadia's kindness gives him hope there will be a better tomorrow.
Her help is making a real difference in my life. It is truly humbling to know that someone as young as Nadia could demonstrate such compassion and empathy for someone you have never met. But then I realized that our love of music resounded like a single tuning fork in our hearts.
And Nadia couldn't agree more.
And so through this journey, do you feel some sort of connection to him?
Yeah, I think we're really connected through the strings.
They're nearly 5,000 miles apart, but this bond is stronger than the strings on any violin.
Pretty music, pretty piece there. And we're going to introduce you now to a Minnesota woman who also became dedicated to helping refugees and even inspired her friends to do the very same thing. Here's Erin Hassanzadeh with more.
Like many of us, when Suzanne Bruss saw Ukrainians fleeing for their lives, she wanted to help. She saw reports of families in Poland opening up their homes.
And I was thinking, could I do that?
She got an email from Alight. They were looking for sponsors for Ukrainian refugees.
There was a phrase that kept going through my mind, that I am my sister's keeper, that I want to be part of a solution to help rather than just standing back.
They just decided to, be kind and to be helpful. And I really, as a Ukrainian myself, I really appreciate this help.
Being a sponsor involves promising to support another family for their 2-year humanitarian parole. Suzanne realized she could do it with her friends too, as a group. So she asked them.
I almost cried how many of them, said, I'm in.
So she went on a matchmaking journey of sorts, trying to find the right fit for her group of willing friends.
You have to use your intuition a little bit, because you don't know, who's writing exactly.
And then came Ina and her daughter, Nika.
So then I thought, why not to try Minnesota?
Just felt right that we connected with them.
Suzanne and her friends fundraised to bring them here, and it finally happened this winter.
So they arrived December 6th, and we had a greeting at the airport. She came here with very little, money and one suitcase each.
We are very, very grateful.
Ina and Nika lived with Suzanne for their first 3 weeks. 8-year-old Nika finally returned to school.
She always finds friends quickly.
Which was a huge motivation for Ina to come to the States.
Just from school, yeah. She adores music, art.
It's really hard not to feel like they're part of your family.
You're my American family.
For Ina, it's a fresh start for her daughter, yes, but it is also a new beginning for her, and she's embracing that.
I'm ready for that. It's not so scary for me. I tried here lots of things for the first time. Skating, for example, driving, it's for me the first time. And I like to try all these new things.
But she's not doing it alone, and that's sort of the best part. Not just for her, but for Suzanne and her friends and this entire community.
We are very lucky, I think, to be here with such a great support, with so kind, helpful people.
They're just very special people. I'm sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
I feel like I'm in the right place.
Hey, getting emotional is kind of the point on this show. We hope to lift you up. That's the idea anyway. That's a great story. We got more coming up. If you've heard of therapy dogs and police canines, well, one California police department has adopted another kind of animal to help its officers. What kind of animal? That's kind of the tease here. We'll tell you in just a moment. Plus, get a close-up look at the super bloom phenomena in Southern California. Gorgeous. A super bloom of poppy flowers has carpeted the fields of Southern California with beautiful, vibrant color. Take a look at these pictures. CBS Los Angeles' Lori Perez now has a close-up look at what is an incredible natural spectacle.
The poppy super bloom this year is, in a word,
Orange.
Okay, a second word.
Spectacular.
Off the beaten path is the beaten path this season in Lancaster because the poppies have exploded in lots of places.
I love flowers, so I like it.
Creating a carpet of color.
My name is Trenton, and I love coming out here.
On fields all over the city, except on the actual State Park Poppy Reserve.
A little bit of disappointment as far as what Mother Nature has given us.
After all the rain we had, Ranger Matt Williams says expectations for a super bloom remain high, but after some late snow and cold here on the reserve, nothing is poppying up, at least not yet.
Again, it's Mother Nature, though. She kind of does what it wants. That's why we call it a reserve, because it's a reserve for her if she decides to show up.
Meanwhile, in the flatlands along virtually every road leading to the reserve, crowds are finding the flowers to fill their senses and their social media feeds.
We love it. We're just looking for the right combination of colors.
I had a new baby, so he needs to get in the pictures.
Experts say the last super bloom was 2019, the result of a regular series of soaking rains, which we definitely also had this year. And when those showers bring these kind of flowers.
This is like once in a decade bloom that happens, and we are driving in here from San Francisco to see this place. This is just wild. I mean, it's just beautiful.
First comes the rain, then comes the flowers. Very, very pretty stuff. And we got a great story for you now. You've heard of dogs working as therapy animals. Of course you have. Police canines, sure. But the Yuba City, California Police Department has decided to adopt a unique animal as its wellness officer. Here's CBS Sacramento's Ashley Sharp with more.
At the Yuba City Police Department, the tulips are in full bloom, the sun is shining, spring has sprung. Literally.
Come here, buddy.
So much so, you might think the Easter Bunny came early. But this is no candy-toting holiday rabbit. This is Percy, or Officer Hops.
This idea came as kind of a joke, and it's really caught on.
After all, he's a bunny with a job to do.
I just love how soft he is. I think that's what I love the most.
His official title, Wellness Officer with the Yuba City Police Department, an outlet for stress for officers and staff who see a lot of bad.
Being able to hold him, pet him, and just kind of step back from that situation for a minute, regroup is vital.
A push department-wide for a focus on mental health came in 2022, and along came this therapeutic thumper. It all started when Officer Ashley Carson found him abandoned while on a call.
I started to call him, and I said, "Here, bud." And he came running up to me, and he stood on his hind legs, and I picked him up.
She took him to the animal shelter, and after a few weeks with no family found, department staffer Chelsea McCready adopted him and gave Percy not just a home, but an office.
He just hangs out in here. He kind of free roams.
Percy comes to work with Chelsea every day, even working some shifts too when she's not here.
We're seeing the long-term benefits of it already in even just a short amount of time.
A cop with hops.
He's a great little furry friend.
A bunny that doesn't come once a year.
I go in and see him every chance I get.
But daily to do an important job.
Oh, looks pretty good in that vest. All right, coming up, meet a girl who was born with a heart defect and then decided that she wanted to make a bucket list. You know, one of those. Well, she crossed off some very big goals, including one I don't want to give away, but it's got to do with one of the most famous golfers in the world. Stick around for the answer. You're watching The Uplift. Nine-year-old Maddie was born with a heart defect and decided to create a bucket list. She recently crossed off a major item, and it happens to involve a particular golf legend. Here's David Begnaud with more.
We met Madeline Quinn on a chilly, drizzly morning in Southern California and quickly found out there is nothing that's going to dampen this girl's spirit when she's out on the golf course.
What I like about it is whenever I hit a driver, I just like feel pumped up and I'm ready, and I just really like the challenge.
Do you feel like golf is your passion?
Yes.
It's your calling?
Yes, I love it.
Madeline first picked up a club at 2. Whack. Starting with the toy, but quickly moving to the irons.
The love of the game has grown, the passion has grown, and now I get to teach the little girl I love more than anything in the world.
She has a great built-in teacher and dad and caddy all in one.
Her dad, a former PGA pro, started showing Maddie videos of Tiger Woods golfing as a child and says that's what inspired her.
This is the Girls Junior Club Championship trophy.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is, Madeline Quinn.
Whenever I have a tournament, my dad always says, "What's the goal today?" And I say to have the most fun out here.
You love doing it more than anything else?
Yes.
To go along with that unstoppable smile is a heart that is something of a modern miracle. You see, Madeline was born with what's called a ventricular septal defect, a hole in her heart.
She could not gain weight. Her breathing was very, very rapid.
Madeline underwent 3 open heart surgeries as doctors tried to fix her tiny heart.
It was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And then it kept getting worse and worse and worse.
At 18 months old, Maddie was put on a transplant list. A complicating factor was that doctors said she needed a bigger heart to maintain function, perhaps from a 5-year-old. Well, 4 months later, they got the call. A perfect match had been found. The surgery was a success. And for the first time, little Maddie had rosy cheeks and even an appetite.
All right, so this heart's doing well for you.
Yeah, and I just had my 8th heart birthday.
Oh, you have heart birthdays?
Yeah.
I love that.
I've been living my best life. I'm so happy and thankful.
Madeline wanted me to feel the joy she says she gets from golfing. And she told me I needed the proper attire. So I asked if she could help me out.
You look amazing, baby.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah.
With a 9-year-old driving, on we went.
I don't even know where it went.
So much for this guy's golf dreams.
Look at the look on her face.
But Dad wants Maddie to continue to live hers.
Drive for show?
Fredo.
She wanted to see Tiger play in person. So Dad bought the tickets and Maddie made a bucket list poster. Heart transplant, check. Meet Tiger Woods and play at Augusta. Every golfer's dream. Well, as luck would have it, Tiger's caddy spotted Maddie's sign and he whispered something to
And Tiger looked, he read it and took out a Sharpie, signed his glove, and then came toward me with a pen, and he checked the box and gave me the glove. Hi, Dad.
Oh my goodness.
I'm usually really polite, but he handed me the glove, and my dad said, "Say thank you," and I'm like, "Thank you?"
When he signs it and walks away, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, wow, that really just happened. I really just met the best golfer in the world.
Oh, these are golf medals.
Yeah, these are my tournament medals that I won.
And her prized possession.
That's his signature.
Wow, girl. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna frame it.
And about that final item on her bucket list, someone close to Augusta spotted her story on social media and invited her to the Masters.
It was just so special that I got to go there. It was just so green, beautiful. I wanted to go back on the airplane and get my clubs and then fly back and play all 18 holes.
While play was suspended at times due to rain, Madeline says she didn't mind getting wet because she was focused on the golf.
I was just like picturing me like swinging like them, and I'm like, I could be as good as them or even better one day.
Pushing through adversity from the very beginning is what seems to have given young Madeline a sensitivity that transcends her age.
I tell my story to make people feel happy and not so stressed out.
So you're happy to share it?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And in first place with Madeline Quinn.
Her parents say they will never forget the kindness of strangers, especially that family who gave their young daughter her heart.
There is hope. There is some good that can come from everything.
Think of being a parent and saying, we want to give someone else life. And Maddie got to live.
A lot of gratitude.
So grateful. It's beyond words.
Oh boy, David Begnaud, I don't think you got a future in golf. Sorry, I saw your swing, but you do in storytelling. One of my favorite David Begnaud stories of all time, and that is our show. I hope it brightened your day, lifted you up. I'm confident it did. Reruns are free if you need another boost. In the meantime, I'm gonna go find some good news.